Hi, I'm Rado.
Alright, the camera's going though. Go ahead and introduce yourselves and try to look at the camera.
Mitch. I'm Cody. I'm Bill. I'm Eric.
What are we talking about?
You have to say your name.
Oh, I'm Adam.
Alright guys, I'm Esau and this is my scholarly person presentation. So a scholarly person is someone that you can also consider as your everyday hero. Some things that we'll go over today will be, the definition of the actual definition of a scholarly person, my definition, and then we'll talk about my everyday hero, and then we'll go over my academic and professional plan, and then challenges that I'll, in social justice that I may encounter, and then how being educated will affect me, affect my social life and financially and professionally. There are several definitions out there of a scholarly person. Some that I came across include, a specialist that's in a particular branch of study, so someone that studies just humanities, a person who's highly educated or has an aptitude for study. You can also consider this person an intelligent and well-educated person, someone who has been given a scholarship, or someone that is a learned person. My definition, I would say that to me a scholarly person is someone who is successful, honest, reliable, and trustworthy. I also consider a scholar person someone who's knowledgeable and continues to learn, because a lot of people, get out of high school and they stop there, or some people do go to graduate from a four-year school and stop there. But a scholar person, I consider someone that continues to learn and learns everything that they can. I also consider a scholar person someone who has had failures but did what needs to be done to move forward, because a lot of people, when things get very tough, they end up just giving up. A perfect quote that that I've always lived by is, don't change the goal, change the route that you're taking, rather than changing your goal and giving up on the dreams and goals that you want to pursue. I also consider a scholar person someone who accepts challenges, rather than walking away from it. This person works very hard for everything they own and everything that they want, so they don't just have things handed to them. My everyday hero right now currently is James Kirk. This was my professor. He was my behavior modification special education professor. He's an assistant professor at WSU since 2012. He's got his education, for his education, he has his bachelor's from Marquette, his master's from Western Oregon State, and his PhD from Iowa. The areas of expertise that he's done so far are behavior modification, special education law, and assistive technology and autism as well. James Kirk has taught me a lot through my years of being a special education major. He's taught me so much that I'm ready to go out there and perform the job that I will be doing once I graduate here. And he will always be there when I need help with a client, or if I need brushing up on a certain material that I can use at work. He's got years of education, like I said. He's got years of experience. He's very helpful as a professor. He has a lot of knowledge on autism and behavior modification, and which this is something that I'm going to school for, and I will be working as a behavior therapist within the next 5 weeks. So he's gotten me ready for all that stuff. Autism and behavior modification can be challenging and tough, so like I said, a scholar person is someone that accepts the challenges rather than just walking away, because autism is not very hard, as well as behavior modification. My academic and professional plan. So my goal so far is to graduate with my bachelor's, which I will be doing in about 4 weeks here. I'll start working as a behavior therapist for Minnesota Autism Center for at least a year or two. Then I will enter graduate school to receive a special education and my autism spectrum disorder license as well. My goal is to teach and guide clients to modify their behavior. I will increase client engagement in positive and social reinforcing activities as well. There's a story in our textbook with the title, "Do I Have to Do What I Said I Would Do?" growing up as a child, we've always, we've said, I'm going to be a doctor or I'm going to be an engineer. And your parents, they jump on that right away. So throughout your life, they will tell you, take these classes in high school, take these classes in college. But little do you guys know, you don't have to do what you don't want to do. So this story basically is that we get pressured doing into things that we don't want to do because, of recognition, a pat on the back, or parents are choosing for you as a child. The real trouble begins when you feel obligated to do something you don't want to do. You never really have to do anything that you don't want to do if it means disobeying your parents. There's a story of Edward. The story of Edward in our book basically is his parents moved to the United States and, they didn't have the best education. So when they came to the U.S., computer engineering was, the hot career that everyone had at that time. And his parents decided for him that this is what they're going to do. And they told him that this is what he's going to do, and he went to college for it, took the prerequisites, and, a year later he realized, this is not what I want to do. I have other interests. So he was able to sit down with his parents and convince them that, this is what he wants to do. He doesn't want to do computer engineering, and his parents were very supportive. This doesn't go for everyone. For me, my story is that, my parents have always wanted me to be a doctor. When I told them that, I don't want to be a doctor, I lost their support. So it doesn't always work out like the story of Edward. So we have to wake up and take action of our own life because we have to make our own choices to better our life, not to better other people's lives, because we're the ones that are living it. Oh, what just happened? There we go. Let's see. All right. Then my goal is also to work with clients through self-monitoring and weekly schedules. Hold on, I missed something here. Yeah, there we go. So work with clients through their self-monitoring, meaning that, if they see that they need to work on something, they'll come up to me and say, hey, I noticed that, when something goes wrong, I get a little bit angry and I need to work on that. And I'll jump on that and tell them, how can you, regulate your emotions better to not get very angry. I want to help them with weekly scheduled activities, role-playing, and behavior modifications. My plan is also to conduct myself in a professional manner when I'm with my clients. And then lastly, I want to use whatever I've learned in my courses at work to best help those clients that I have. The challenges in social justice that I'll face, like any place, I feel like I'll always face racism in some sort of way, but which may not be very understandable to other people. But in my field of behavior therapy, I feel like there's not going to be any social justice problems because, being a behavior therapist or working with kids that have disabilities, we accept differences. However, I feel like there is going to be that one employee that will always take jokes too far. But, as human beings, I think we are the ones that can stop discrimination, racism, and social injustice by, changing ourselves. No amount of laws or papers can really stop racism. How being educated affects your social life. Being educated, you'll be able to find a significant other that is as educated, so you'll be able to relate to things and common interests. You'll be able to converse about multiple things rather than just personal life. Being educated also will determine the type of words and conversations you have. It'll also determine who you become friends with, such like I said, related interests. It will also determine the activities you do, like more rounded activities. How will being educated affect you financially? As we all know, more education means more money as well, because of experience as well. The more money one has, the more activities they can do. You could buy more things. With more education, it's easier to spend and be comfortable with buying, name brand items, as a lot of people do. You can have a life that you may not have had when growing up as a child as well. How it affects you professionally, preparation and training allows one to land a professional career position, which is everyone's ultimate goal here. Being professionally, educated professionally, you can have connections with people you've met through education. You can earn one degree after the other because you don't always have to stop at your 4-year degree. You can earn your master's, you can earn your PhD as well. You can become educated more in like the best possible outcome. You can look at things from a different perspective as well. Having connections. So there's a story in our book that says cash in your connections, which fits in this way. This is the story of a single mother who left her job because of harassment. She was sick of explaining the stories after interviews, and having multiple interviews. So she contacted Ben, who was a person that she once hired for the company. So once she contacted Ben, she sat down with him, set up an interview, and she was hired despite not having any experience for the position. She was hired because she knew Ben. So always using your connection, I feel like, is very important. And I'm a firm believer in it's not about what you know, it's who you know. So keep those connections that keep those people close that you meet, because you never know if you're gonna need them in your professional career, like in your professional life. And that's the end. Any questions? All right. Thank you for coming, guys.